Model United Nations, or MUN, is an educational simulation that mirrors the operations of the United Nations. Students who participate in MUN conferences will represent member countries of the United Nations or international organizations to discuss global issues in the common language of English. They debate important international issues such as fighting terrorism, disarming weapons, tackling human trafficking, and settling territorial disputes. MUN has become popular in many countries, attracting a great number of high school and college students. These conferences are aimed to encourage young people to raise the awareness of national and international issues while enhancing their personal skills such as communicating, researching, and public speaking. In Vietnam, MUN conferences have recently taken place. One of the major versions is VNMUN Convention, which has been organized annually since 2015 and attracted hundreds of students from Vietnam and other countries. The organizers consist of young local and foreign people aged between 15 and 25 who are attending high schools and colleges in Vietnam, as well as Vietnamese students learning abroad. VNMUN has become a prestigious event, which helps young Vietnamese people develop their skills and better contribute to the international integration of the country. Hello and welcome to Sharing Vietnam. Young Vietnamese people have increasingly organized and participated in the discussions of global issues as Vietnam becomes a more active member of the global community. In our program today, we'll explore this trend in a conversation with Siddharth Patra, known as Sid, one of the organizers of the Vietnam model of the United Nations Convention in Hanoi. Hello, Sid. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
First of all, could you share with us the motivation of you and your team to start VNMUN in the first place?
So our motivation behind starting VNMUN was basically ingrained within our own experiences in Model United Nations conferences in other places. A number of us have attended Thai MUN Singapore, Harvard MUN, and other conferences across Hanoi and abroad as well. And we just love this conference and all the opportunities it provides us, not just for what we do here and the discussions that we have, but also for the friends that we make and such. And we wanted to provide such access and such an opportunity for Vietnamese students at some part of the year when they are still available.
What are the major difficulties for the organizers of VNMUN and how do you manage to overcome them?
Well, most of the challenges are faced by our operations team. They are the ones who set up all the logistics, whether it's from lunch all the way to the note cards that we pass around, or to the placards that we hold, or actually the topics that we design for this conference as well that we will discuss. There's a huge number of challenges that come with this, and I myself have not been a part of dealing with all of them. I've only dealt with the chairing part when it comes to leading the delegates, but that's about it. So I think that the difficulties faced are so many, in terms of logistics as well as in the form of planning all this from scratch.
Could you inform us on the background of the participants in VNMUN conventions, especially Vietnamese students?
Some students, like myself, we come from international schools. So some of us have some experience already in Model United Nations. But the majority of our delegates are Vietnamese. They come from local schools here, for example, Hanoi, Amsterdam. And they come here to attend and participate in Model UN, as Hanoi, Amsterdam generally only has access to UNISMUN. So this allows them to have access to another Model United Nations conference. And because this is not tied to any school, delegates can come and sign up for a relatively cheap price without having to come with their school and have to go through extra steps. So this is it's a very efficient and effective process for them to learn about how we do things in MUN and how to build your own character in this field.
So what are the main challenges for Vietnamese students who take part in VNMUN conventions, and what are the benefits for them?
Well, one of the main problems that, difficulties that delegates have that are from Vietnam is obviously language. Our conferences take place completely in English, so it sometimes becomes a bit difficult for some speakers who may not be as proficient in the language to make a speech or to make a point of information or make their voice heard. However, I've seen that many of the, even the most shy delegates, they make a huge effort to contribute in any way possible, whether it's through a speech or through building a clause or building a solution to something. And this has many side effects in a way, positive side effects, in the sense that these delegates now know how to communicate in more than one language. They're already proficient in Vietnamese, obviously, but they have also got English as a backup. This may allow them to apply to foreign universities, appear in interviews in the future, in the distant future even, and it just builds character and more vocational skill for future meetings and future experiences that they may have.
VNMUN 2016 conference took place in Hanoi from August the 5th to the 7th, with the participation of more than 400 students from Vietnam and over 10 countries, such as the Philippines, South Korea, and Pakistan. They represented member countries of the United Nations and formed different groups, such as the Disarmament and International Security Committee, the Economic and International Finance Committee, the United Nations Security Council, the European Union, and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. The delegates are applied to write draft resolutions to deal with major international issues chosen at the conference. Then they will debate to adopt, reject, or amend the documents. In the process, the delegates will have to exercise lobby, diplomacy, and negotiation skills to reach agreements from different parties. All the documents and debates at the conference share the common language of English.
Em ở trong hội đồng tài chính kinh tế là có 3 hội đồng là cuộc khủng hoảng Eurozone năm 2008, một cái là phòng tránh ô nhiễm và một cái là ngăn việc trốn thuế ở các tập đoàn hoạt động ở nhiều quốc gia. Thực sự thì rất là khó khăn, tại vì trước khi tham gia những cái hội thảo thế này thì em chưa bao giờ thực sự là quan tâm đến bất kỳ tình hình chính trị xã hội trên thế giới cả. Nhưng mà khi đi những cái hội thảo như vậy thì mình bắt buộc phải tìm hiểu để có thể tham gia được cái hội thảo một cách tốt đẹp. Nên là tìm hiểu thì cũng rất là khó khăn và mệt, nhưng mà lúc tham gia thì vui, và sau khi tham gia xong lúc nào cũng là cái khoảng thời gian nhớ lại, rất là muốn kiểu quay lại ạ.
VNMUN 2016 was sponsored by RMIT University in Vietnam and Golden Path Academics Training Center. The conference was attended by representatives from the Canadian Embassy in Hanoi, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization or UNESCO in Vietnam, and the Hanoi Young Entrepreneurs Association. After 3 days of robust activities, VNMUN 2016 left some beautiful impressions on Vietnamese and foreign delegates.
I love how the Vietnamese people, especially the youth and the organizers, were able to create this big conference. And I think that they're all talented and smart. And I was amazed by how open they are and how inclusive they are to the talks. Like, they ask delegates from different countries too, and they include our perspectives also on the issues. And I think that I would definitely come back here to meet my Vietnamese friends. I love them so much.
So this is the second time a VNMUN convention has been organized. So what are the differences between this year's convention and the previous event?
Well, the most notable difference is, of course, the venue. We're at the Grand Plaza Hotel today, and we have been for the last 3 days as well. So this is obviously the biggest venue change, as previously we didn't have any real funding from anyone, but this time we have sponsorships from different organizations. For example, GPA. There's a few other training organizations as well that participate and help and sponsor our conference and help fund all of this. So that's quite impressive. Last time we were doing an RMIT with a much smaller group of students. This time we have more than doubled the number of participants, and we have extra committees, extra topics, extra chairs, and just all around more experienced people to do this conference.
Well, what is your observation of the level of awareness of young Vietnamese students towards international issues as shown in 2016 VNMUN convention?
Well, firstly, we give we set up our resolutions, our topics, topics and discussion topics much in advance to this conference. So when the delegates come here, they don't come here empty-handed. They have done research, and every year I'm pretty impressed by the delegates that come up and their awareness of the world. After all, Vietnam has some of the best internet connectivity in the world. I think out of the 90 million people in your country, 40 million have internet access of some sort, at least. So this is quite considerable. Like, this is like possibly the best proliferation of information that you could really have, especially in Hanoi with and this spread of information and this spread of understanding of these topics is what allows these delegates to be so good.
So what do you think of some topics that attract most of the attention from Vietnamese participants in this year's convention?
Obviously, Vietnamese students are very concerned about topics that concern their economy. Topics concerning their economy about exports and their treaties with other countries when it comes to transporting goods from one place to another. That's a very important topic that people seem to be fascinated about. There's also the matter of opinions and how people express them. So that's always an important topic in every conference I've seen. We have certain other conflicts that maybe they are not Vietnam related, but other conflicts around the world. The delegates just find it amusing to participate in those. So they're quite passionate about those as well.
Could you share with us the ways in which you popularize VNMUN activities here in Vietnam?
The most notable one that I have seen is that of our Facebook page. We have a Facebook page, and obviously Vietnam has fantastic Facebook connectivity. I think most students, most adults have a Facebook account. So that was the easiest and most important way individuals found out about this conference and were passionate about participating in it. There's always, word of mouth. Many of our leadership team members here, they know friends who know other friends who are interested in politics and also discussions and all of that. So they showed up and applied through our very rigorous application system through that way. So I think that to get Vietnamese delegates here, it wasn't very difficult, honestly. I think there's quite a bit of interest in Vietnam about issues relating to the world and the economy as well. So I would say that it wasn't as difficult as it could have been. If this was another country, maybe it would have been a much harder job for our operations team to do, but I think they've done fantastic to bring this conference to everyone.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today and sharing interesting insights.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's all for our Sharing Vietnam today. Hopefully, with the increasing opportunities for young Vietnamese people to discuss global issues with their peers from around the world, Vietnam will achieve a stronger international integration and influence in the future. Thank you very much for watching, and see you again next time.